united in the vision that the CAIPS shall...
The Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee shall comprehensively engage with all stakeholders for a further period of 2 months to ensure that the exercise of transfer of functions is completed and pending functions due to the county governments are gazetted for transfer. The Attorney General's office shall offer technical support to the exercise. 2, that the exercise leading to the completion of the valuation of assets shall be fast-tracked and completed within the next 2 months to necessitate the legal transfer of the assets to the county governments. 3, that on county industrial and aggregation parks, every county government shall sign all the necessary intergovernmental agreements with the National Treasury within the next 14 days to activate the disbursement of the allocated national government counterpart funding to the county governments. The Attorney General shall provide legal advice on the structure of the intergovernmental agreements to be signed by the 2 levels of government. Similarly, through the supplementary budget 2023-2024 financial year, the national government shall provide a budgetary allocation for the remaining 29 CAIPs in the 29 county governments that are yet to benefit from the program. Number 4, that on Roads Maintenance Levy Fund, RMLF, a consultative process shall be instituted involving both levels of government and Parliament to unlock the existing legislative gaps to necessitate equitable distribution of the Roads Maintenance Levy Fund between the 2 levels of government. His Excellency the President shall lead the mediation process. Number 5, that our community health promoters support to the county governments by the national government. The national government stipend support shall be extended from the current 3 years to 5 years. 2, that the Ministry of Health shall also support the county governments with an additional 7,809 CHP kits by the end of January 2024. That the Ministry of Health shall develop a framework to necessitate embedding a common pool of resources earmarked for the payment of the CHPs to be managed by both county governments and national government. 6, that on the managed equipment services, the Ministry of Health, jointly with the county governors, through a select technical committee of 7, drawn from both parties, making it 14, shall develop a strategic roadmap that shall guide the 2 levels of government in transition from mess without disruption of services. Further, the national government has offered a collaborative engagement with willing county governments in which they will provide to, 1, to guarantee the county governments during the procuring process of the next set of equipments, 2, to offer financial support to county governments with up to 30% of the purchasing amount for the equipment, and 3, to support the county governments through collective market price negotiations, enabling the county governments to procure cheaply directly. As a stopgap measure, the existing contractual obligations shall be negotiated for extension up to end of March 2024. During the contract extension, the county government shall be required to initiate a transparent process of procurement for their own equipment. Number 7, that the Office of the Deputy President shall fast-track the process leading to the amendment of the Intergovernmental Relations Act 2012 to anchor the Council of Governors Secretariat into law. That the Council of Governors shall receive funding from both the national government and county government in that law, and 2, that the sections on Cabinet Secretary to be amended to capture the officer in charge of devolution. Number 8, that the Attorney General shall take up and fast-track the proposed amendments to repeal the provisions of Section 191 A to E of the PFM Act 2012 to enable county governments to access conditional grounds without any hindrances. Additionally, the Attorney General shall seek through Parliament to unlock the stalemate on the county government's additional allocation of Revenue Bill 2023. 9, that the National Treasury shall engage with the Council of Governors and the respective ministries to develop an effective institutional structure for the management of conditional grants related to program support from development partners. 10, that His Excellency the President shall institute a process leading to further consultation in allocations towards the transferred library functions with the relevant stakeholders. Similarly, IGRTC shall institute a consultative process bringing together the Kenya National Library Services, Nairobi City County, and Nakuru County on the 3 libraries currently under the management of Kenya National Library Services. 11, that county governments will be the first point of call in distribution of fertilizer to the farmers under the Last Mile program. 12, that the Intergovernmental Relations Act 2012 shall be amended to strengthen IGRTC's convening mandate on matters relating to alternative dispute resolution. Okay. 13, that the Intergovernmental Sector Forum regulations shall be reviewed further by both the State Department of Devolution and the Council of Governors, and an update shared through the Office of the Deputy President. And 14, that the Salaries and Remuneration Commission jointly with IGRTC and COG shall convene the 3rd Wage Bill Conference. The national government shall finance the conference. The national government has committed to reduce their wage bill to 35% in line with the provisions of the Public Financial Management Act 2012 by 2028, and urges the county governments to align the same. And finally, that an accountability system be set up to ensure that distribution of supplies to those affected by El Nino is monitored and evaluated.
That the national government and yourselves, we are in the same space. All of you are asking for more resources. And that's all we discuss when we meet. More resources for the health program, more resources for drought intervention, release of funds that have not disbursed, and all this money we collect. So we request that when the national government comes up with revenue collection measures, when they are being criticized, you don't partake, you don't join in that argument, because you depend on the same amount of money, and all the discussion we discuss with you as governors is how to increase your funding, is how to avail your money in time. So when we take those measures as national government, when other people are criticizing those measures, you cannot take part, because then it doesn't make sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that our country's fortunes, to a decisive extent, are dependent on how we manage the devolution of national power and resources. Devolution actually goes to our viability as a political community, stability as a nation, and sustainability as the collective socio-economic project of the people. My support for devolution, therefore, anchored on the understanding that the flourishing of our grassroots is a precondition to national economic transformation, and that bottom-up sharing of duties and benefits, obligations and rights is the fundamental common denominator of both the devolved system of governance and our bottom-up economic transformation agenda. While devolution is a national value that must inspire all our actions, devolved governments are the focal points of the devolution project, whose role becomes more and more vital as the full implication of our constitutional dispensation becomes defined. Whether and how we support, respect, uphold, and defend devolution matters. In the Declaration of the Republic, the Constitution describes Kenya as a sovereign republic founded on the national values and principle of governance referred to in Article 10. The first bundle of these values includes sharing and devolution of power. Article 6 describes our national territory in terms of counties, and then emphasizes that the national and county levels of governments are distinct and interdependent and required to conduct their mutual relations on the basis of consultation and cooperation. This is the philosophical foundation of Chapter 11 of the Constitution, which sets out the framework of devolved governance in greater detail. Intergovernmental consultations and cooperation not only serves as a mechanism for reconciling the tensions arising from the two distinct yet interdependent levels of government, but it is also a framework to give devolution the best chance to deliver to the people. I believe in the power of intergovernmental relations to anchor devolution and also facilitate national socio-economic transformation. As the apex forum of intergovernmental relations, the National and County Government Coordination Summit must be seen in this light. My faith in the power of this forum as a force of national good is therefore absolute. At the very onset, I wish to underscore that devolution remains as the cornerstone of effective service delivery. I recognize devolution as the optimal mechanism for delivering important services and implementing essential projects and programs in line with our bottom-up economic transformation agenda. At the same time, I am proud to note that my administration has made substantial progress in promoting devolution as a principle and value, pursuing it as a policy and strategic objective, and consolidating the gains of devolution, notably through the following interventions. For the first time since the advent of devolution, the National Treasury has endeavored to disperse all the allocations to counties as at the end of financial year 2022-2023. It was a difficult exercise, but I made a commitment, and I want to say, for the first time, we made sure that there were no outstanding monies that are owed to devolution at the end of the financial year. Consequently, the IFMIS deadline was extended to allow county governments utilize the funds. To actualize my commitment to transfer all pending devolved functions, the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee has been tasked to undertake a detailed analysis of the functions as per the fourth schedule of the Constitution. The analysis entailed unbundling of functions and the identification of necessary legislative interventions necessary to facilitate the performance of the functions and provision of necessary resources. Accordingly, I have instructed IGRTC to thoroughly engage all relevant stakeholders in order to avoid conflicts and acrimonious litigation in court. I shall therefore require them to engage with the stakeholders for a further 2 months to validate and approve the reports, therefore, before they are gazetted. We managed to agree with the Indian government for support for our county aggregation and industrial parks, and they are going to extend a facility of 10 billion shillings for value addition infrastructure in our county aggregation and industrial parks. Under the economic stimulus program, the national government has set aside 5.2 billion in the current financial year for the construction of markets. This joint intergovernmental program is expected to develop 400 markets across the country. Currently, 22 markets are under construction, 179 have been advertised, and 5 are currently undergoing design. Further, the fertilizer subsidy program, which has revitalized the agriculture sector by enhancing production and food security, is a shining testament to the synergy between the two levels of government. So far, 5 million farmers have been registered and have benefited to a great extent from the program, and I wish to express my profound appreciation to the county governments for ensuring the fertilizers were delivered to the last mile.